Women have no idea that the cheese they trust is quietly triggering inflammation deep inside their scalp, gradually affecting circulation to the tiny blood vessels that support each hair follicle. Right now, your body may be missing some of the nutrients that help maintain healthy hair structure and normal growth patterns, while at the same time being exposed to foods that, for some women, can make that balance harder to maintain. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 types of cheese that can support stronger, more resilient hair, and 5 others that may be working against your efforts without you realizing it. And it's worth staying with this all the way through, because one of the most commonly eaten cheeses often sits quietly in the refrigerator while contributing the most to scalp stress and hair thinning for many women. Some cheeses contain nutrients that play a meaningful role in overall hair and scalp health. They can provide usable protein, along with vitamins and minerals that help nourish the scalp and support the structure of each strand. At the same time, other cheeses, especially those that are highly processed or very high in saturated fat and sodium, can promote inflammation, disrupt normal hormonal signaling, and reduce efficient blood flow. Over time, this combination may leave hair follicles undernourished and less able to maintain healthy growth. What makes this tricky is that many women have both supportive and less supportive cheeses in their kitchen right now, without clear guidance on which is which. Let's begin with cottage cheese, especially the low-fat variety. It may not feel exciting or indulgent, but from a nutritional perspective, it offers several qualities that can be helpful for hair health. Cottage cheese is rich in casein, a protein that the body digests slowly. This gradual digestion provides a steady release of amino acids, which are the basic building blocks used to create keratin, the primary structural protein in hair. When your body has a consistent supply of these amino acids, it can more easily support normal hair maintenance. Cottage cheese also contains vitamin B12, which plays a role in red blood cell production. Red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen throughout the body, including to the scalp. Adequate oxygen delivery supports normal follicle function. Many women, particularly as they age, may have lower B12 levels due to changes in digestion and absorption. When this happens, hair is often one of the first places where subtle changes can appear, including a modest serving of low-fat cottage cheese, such as half a cup paired with fruit or blended into a smoothie, can be a gentle way to support nutrient intake. Its relatively easy digestibility is also important, because nutrient absorption begins in the gut, and hair health depends on how well your body can use what you consume. Mozzarella cheese, particularly part-skim mozzarella, is another option that can be supportive for women experiencing gradual hair thinning. Mozzarella contains zinc, calcium, and selenium, all of which contribute to normal scalp and hair physiology. Zinc supports tissue repair and helps maintain the oil-producing glands that protect hair follicles. When zinc intake is low, the scalp may become dry or irritated, and follicles may function less efficiently. Selenium acts as an antioxidant, helping protect cells from oxidative stress. This matters because oxidative stress can affect many tissues in the body, including those involved in hair growth. Calcium, beyond its role in bone health, participates in enzyme and hormone signaling that influences many bodily processes, including those related to hair. Part-skim mozzarella provides these nutrients with less saturated fat than many other cheeses. This balance can be helpful, since excessive saturated fat intake may negatively affect circulation for some individuals. Mozzarella is easy to incorporate into meals, whether added to salads, paired with vegetables, or enjoyed on its own. The goal is not perfection, but consistency over time. Swiss cheese is often overlooked, yet it offers a unique nutritional profile. It is especially high in vitamin B12, and tends to be lower in sodium than many other cheeses. Circulation plays an important role in scalp health, because each follicle relies on tiny blood vessels to deliver oxygen and nutrients. Diets very high in sodium can contribute to fluid retention, and may affect efficient blood flow in some people. Swiss cheese allows you to obtain protein and B12 without a heavy sodium load. Vitamin B12 supports red blood cell production, which in turn supports oxygen delivery throughout the body. As women age, stomach acid production can decrease, making B12 harder to absorb from some foods. Concentrated sources like Swiss cheese can help support intake, including a few slices several times per week, may contribute to healthier circulation patterns that support the scalp. Parmesan cheese, particularly aged Parmesan, is another cheese with concentrated nutritional value. Because it is aged, It provides a dense source of protein in small portions. Even a tablespoon of grated Parmesan contributes protein that supports the hair shaft, the visible part of the hair strand. Parmesan also contains phosphorus, a mineral that works alongside calcium to help maintain structural strength. When hair shafts are weaker, hair may break more easily and appear dull or brittle. Phosphorus helps support resilience at this structural level. Aged Parmesan also tends to be lower in lactose due to the aging process, which can make it easier to tolerate for women who are sensitive to dairy. Using real, aged Parmesan rather than heavily processed versions helps reduce exposure to unnecessary additives. Small amounts sprinkled over meals can add both flavor and nutritional value without excess. Ricotta cheese, especially low-fat ricotta, rounds out the group of more supportive cheeses. Ricotta is made from whey protein, which is digested relatively quickly. This means amino acids become available to the body sooner, supporting tissues that rely on protein turnover, including hair follicles. Ricotta also contains calcium, contributing to normal enzyme and hormone activity related to hair growth cycles. Its soft texture makes ricotta versatile. It can be spread on whole grain toast, mixed into meals, or blended for added creaminess. Choosing low-fat varieties helps limit saturated fat intake while still providing beneficial nutrients. On the other side of the picture are cheeses that may place additional stress on hair and scalp health when consumed frequently. Processed cheese is one of the most concerning examples. Products such as individually wrapped slices or ja. Red spreads are often high in sodium and contain emulsifiers and preservatives. High sodium intake can affect circulation and fluid balance, and certain additives may promote inflammation in sensitive individuals. Chronic inflammation can interfere with normal follicle activity, sometimes leading follicles to shift into a resting phase more often than intended. Cream cheese is another common staple that can be challenging for hair health when eaten regularly. It is high in saturated fat and relatively low in protein. Diets consistently high in saturated fat may affect circulation and lipid balance in the scalp, potentially influencing oil production and nutrient delivery. Cream cheese is also easy to overconsume due to its texture and common serving sizes. Blue cheese, known for its strong flavor, is typically high in sodium and contains mold cultures. While safe for most people, these cultures may trigger inflammatory responses in some women who are sensitive. Combined with high sodium levels, frequent consumption may place additional strain on scalp circulation. Full-fat cheddar cheese is widely used and familiar, yet it can be high in saturated fat, and in some commercial forms, additives. Excess saturated fat intake may influence scalp oil balance and circulation. Pre-shredded varieties often include anti-caking agents that add no nutritional value and may interfere with digestion. For some individuals, brie cheese, though often considered a delicacy, is high in fat A, and D includes surface mold. For women with sensitivities, even mild inflammatory reactions can influence scalp comfort and hair cycle balance. Because brie is soft and spreadable, portions can become larger than intended. Understanding these differences allows you to make gradual, realistic changes, replacing less supportive cheeses with options like cottage cheese, mozzarella, Swiss, Parmesan, or ricotta does not require perfection or restriction. Small adjustments over time can reduce inflammatory load and support nutrient intake. Hair responds slowly, often reflecting changes made months earlier, so patience and consistency are essential. It's also important to remember that diet is only one aspect of hair health. Hydration, sleep quality, stress management, and overall nutrient balance all play roles. While supportive dietary choices can help maintain healthier hair over time, they are not a substitute for medical care. If hair loss is sudden, severe, or accompanied by other symptoms, consulting a qualified healthcare professional is important. These insights are meant to support awareness and informed choices, helping you care for your hair and scalp with balance, understanding, and respect for your body. As individual needs, with balance, understanding, and respect for your body's individual needs. What often gets overlooked in conversation about hair health is how small, repeated dietary choices quietly shape the internal environment your hair follicles live in every single day. Hair follicles are living, responsive structures. They are sensitive to blood flow, nutrient availability, hormonal signaling, and inflammatory stress. When those systems are supported, follicles are more likely to stay in their active growth phase longer. When those systems are strained, follicles may shift earlier into resting or shedding phases. This is not something that happens overnight, and it is rarely caused by one single food. Instead, it is the pattern over time that matters most. This is why understanding cheese choices can be helpful. Not because cheese alone determines your hair outcome, but because it often appears regularly in the diet. When a food is eaten frequently, its effects, whether supportive or disruptive, tend to accumulate quietly. Many women focus on hair products, supplements, or topical treatments, while overlooking how everyday foods influence circulation, inflammation, and nutrient delivery beneath the scalp. Let's talk more deeply about why circulation is such a central theme here. Every hair follicle relies on a network of microscopic blood vessels. These vessels deliver oxygen, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals that allow the follicle to function normally. When circulation is efficient, follicles are better supported. When circulation is compromised, even slightly, follicles may struggle to receive what they need consistently. Diets very high in sodium or saturated fat can, for some women, influence vascular flexibility and fluid balance over time. This may reduce optimal blood flow to peripheral areas like the scalp. Inflammation plays a parallel role. Inflammation is not always dramatic or obvious. Low-grade, chronic inflammation can exist quietly in the body, without pain or visible symptoms. The scalp is not immune to this. When inflammatory signals increase, follicles may become more sensitive, and their growth cycles can be disrupted. This does not mean inflammation causes hair loss directly in every case, but it can create conditions that make healthy growth harder to sustain. This is why processed cheese often stands out as a concern. It combines high sodium levels with additives that may promote inflammatory responses in susceptible individuals. When these products are consumed frequently, the body is repeatedly exposed to factors that can strain circulation and immune balance. Over time, this internal stress may show up in subtle ways, including changes in hair density, texture, or shedding patterns. Cream cheese presents a different challenge. Its nutritional profile is heavily weighted towards saturated fat, with relatively little protein or micronutrient support. Hair follicles are protein-dependent structures, while fat is an essential nutrient. Balance matters. When fat intake consistently outweighs protein and micronutrient intake, follicles may not receive the building blocks they need at the right times. Additionally, excessive saturated fat intake may influence scalp oil production, sometimes leading to clogged follicles or dryness, depending on individual response. Blue cheese and brie add another layer to consider, particularly for women with sensitivities. Mold-ripened cheeses are generally safe, but immune systems differ. For some women, these cheeses may subtly increase inflammatory signaling. This does not mean they must be avoided completely by everyone, but awareness matters. If hair thinning is a concern and these cheeses are consumed frequently, reducing intake and observing changes can be a reasonable, gentle experiment. Full-fat cheddar often feels familiar and comforting, which can make its effects easy to overlook. The issue is not cheddar itself, but portion size, frequency, and processing. Highly processed or pre-shredded versions often include additives that do not contribute to nourishment and may interfere with digestion. Digestive efficiency is directly linked to nutrient absorption. When nutrients are not absorbed well, hair follicles may not receive adequate support, even when the diet appears sufficient on paper. In contrast, cheeses like cottage cheese, mozzarella, Swiss, Parmesan, and ricotta tend to offer more favorable ratio of protein to fat, along with specific micronutrients that support hair physiology. Casein and whey protein supply amino acids steadily or rapidly depending on the type, which helps maintain protein availability throughout the day. Minerals like zinc, selenium, calcium, and phosphorus participate in enzymatic reactions, antioxidant defense, and structure maintenance within hair tissue. Vitamin B12 deserves special attention. It supports red blood cell production, which directly influences oxygen delivery. As women age, absorption of B12 from food can decline. This is not a failure or a flaw, but a normal physiological change. When B12 levels drop, hair may become thinner or more fragile over time. Including dietary sources that are naturally rich in B12 can help support normal levels, though individual needs vary. Another important aspect is consistency rather than intensity. Eating a supportive cheese once a month will not meaningfully influence hair health. Likewise, avoiding a less supportive cheese for 1 week will not reverse long-standing patterns. Hair growth operates on a delayed timeline. The hair you see today reflects conditions from months ago. This is why patience is essential. When dietary adjustments are made consistently, their effects gradually show up as new hair grows. It can be helpful to think of dietary changes as creating a more supportive environment rather than forcing a specific outcome. No food can guarantee thicker hair, and no single food automatically causes hair loss. The goal is to reduce unnecessary stressors while increasing supportive inputs. This mindset helps avoid fear-based decision-making and keeps choice grounded in balance and self-care. Practical application matters. Awareness alone does not change habits. 1 Gen. Teal approach is to simply take inventory. Opening the refrigerator and noticing which cheeses are present can be informative. If processed cheese, cream cheese, blue cheese, full-fat cheddar, or brie appear off, consider gradually rotating in more supportive options as those items run out. There is no need for abrupt restriction or perfection. Incorporating supportive cheeses can be simple. Cottage cheese can be paired with fruit or blended into smoothies. Mozzarella can be added to salads or vegetables. Swiss cheese can be enjoyed in modest portions as a snack. Parmesan can enhance flavor without large servings. Ricotta can replace heavier spreads while adding protein. These swaps preserve enjoyment, while gently shifting nutritional balance. For women with dairy sensitivities, listening to the body is essential. Symptoms like bloating, discomfort, or digestive upset are signals worth respecting. Smaller portions, lactose-free options, or aged cheeses that naturally contain less lactose may be better tolerated. For some women, dairy may not be the right choice at all, and that is okay. Hair-supportive nutrients can also be obtained from non-dairy sources such as legumes, fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. It is also important to view hair health as part of overall health. Hydration supports circulation. Sleep supports hormonal regulation. Stress management supports immune balance. Physical activity supports blood flow. Diet works best when these elements are also considered. Hair is not isolated from the rest of the body. It reflects how the whole system is functioning over time. Questions about timing often arise. Many women wonder when they might notice changes after making dietary adjustments. While individual responses vary, hair growth cycles suggest that visible changes may take several months. Typically, 3 to 6 months is a reasonable time frame to observe differences in shedding patterns, texture, or new growth. This does not mean nothing is happening before then. Changes begin internally long before they become visible. Consistency is what allows these internal changes to translate outward. Making supportive choices most days, rather than perfectly every day, is usually sufficient. Occasional indulgences do not undo progress. What matters is the overall pattern. It is also important to acknowledge that nutrition cannot address all causes of hair loss. Conditions such as thyroid disorders, autoimmune conditions, certain hormonal changes, and genetic factors can significantly influence hair health. If hair loss is sudden, patchy, or severe, or if it is accompanied by other symptoms, professional evaluation is essential. Dietary support can be part of a comprehensive approach, but it is not a replacement for medical care when needed. Education empowers choice. Understanding how foods interact with the body allows women to make decisions rooted in knowledge rather than fear. Cheese does not need to be demonized or idealized. It is simply one category of food that can either support or strain the systems that hair depends on, depending on type, amount, and frequency. As you reflect on these ideas, consider approaching change with curiosity rather than pressure. Notice how your body responds when you choose foods that are higher in protein and micronutrients. Observe how your energy, digestion, and scalp comfort feel over time. These signals often provide valuable feedback beyond what any guideline can offer. Hair health is a long conversation between your body and your daily choices. When those choices are informed, gentle, and consistent, they help create conditions where hair can grow, renew, and maintain strength as you age. And that steady, respectful approach to nourishment supports not only your hair, but your overall sense of well-being and confidence as well. As we come toward the end of this conversation, it's important to gently bring everything together without losing sight of the bigger picture. Hair health is not about chasing perfection or trying to control every variable. It is about creating steady conditions that allow your body to do what it is naturally designed to do when it feels supported. Food choices, including cheese, simply influence the environment. They do not operate in isolation, and they do not define your worth or beauty. One of the most empowering shifts many women can make is moving away from urgency and toward patience. Hair respond as slowly because it is built slowly. Each strand grows in cycles that reflect months of internal conditions, not days. When you nourish your body today, you are investing in the hair that will emerge later. This perspective can reduce frustration and help you stay consistent, even when immediate changes are not visible. It is also helpful to remember that hair thinning, texture changes, and shedding are common experiences, especially as hormones shift with age. These changes are not personal failures, and they are not signs that your body is working against you. They are signals that your needs may be changing. Listening to those signals with curiosity and care allows you to adapt rather than react. Making dietary adjustments does not require rigid rules. It can begin with awareness, noticing which foods dominate your routine, how often highly processed items appear, and whether protein-rich, nutrient-dense options are consistently present is a meaningful first step. From there, small substitutions can gradually reshape patterns without creating stress or deprivation. Cheese, when chosen thoughtfully, can be part of that supportive pattern. Options that provide protein, B vitamins, and essential minerals can contribute to overall nourishment. Limiting cheeses that are high in sodium, saturated fat, and additives can help reduce unnecessary inflammatory and circulatory stress for some women. The goal is balance, not elimination. Equally important is honoring individual differences. Bodies respond differently to foods, stress, and lifestyle factors. What feels supportive for one woman may not feel the same for another. Paying attention to how your body responds, rather than forcing yourself into generalized advice, helps build trust with yourself. That trust is foundational to long-term well-being. It is also worth acknowledging that nutrition works best alongside other forms of care. Adequate hydration supports blood flow. Gentle movement encourages circulation. Rest supports hormone regulation. Emotional well-being supports immune balance. Hair reflects the state of the whole system, not just one habit or nutrient. For women who experience ongoing or concerning hair loss, professional guidance matters. Dermatologists, primary care providers, and other qualified healthcare professionals can help identify underlying factors that nutrition alone cannot address. Seeking support is not a sign of weakness, but a form of self-respect. As you move forward, consider approaching your hair and your body with kindness rather than criticism. Each choice you make to nourish yourself is an act of care, even when progress feels slow. Over time, those choices accumulate, shaping not only physical outcomes, but also how you feel in your own skin. Your hair is one expression of your overall health, but it is not the measure of your value. You deserve information that is responsible, calming, and grounded in reality, not fear or false promises. And you deserve to feel confident and beautiful at every stage of life.